Real Talk with Joe Skousen.
Hello, 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 Mr. James Dwiggins.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Living the real estate dream or nightmare, depending upon the
Should,
day.
should I ask? Maybe I shouldn't ask,
No, you know what?
Okay.
It's always a good thing. There's change. There's always opportunity in change. You just got to look through the right lens. So, you know,
James, I got to tell you, you are one of the people in the space that I enjoy hanging out with the most, especially when I can get you, we spent some time on your podcast recently and I
I
got you
did.
to drop the F-bomb, I think.
I did.
If
Yeah.
I
There's
can
a
get
there's a
a few
count
of those
going.
out of you, if I can get a few of those out of you.
It might happen. It's towards the end of the day, so you never know what'll come out. So Keith's got a running tab on how many F-bombs I'll throw, and then somebody wins something. So we'll see if it continues to climb.
For
So
better or worse, I usually get one out of you,
yeah,
for
typical.
better or
Yeah,
worse.
yeah,
Maybe it's
yeah.
frustration, maybe it's excitement. Um, okay, so James, thank you for joining
Yeah.
Real Talk today. And we've got some really good topics. I mean, you've got you're around the space. You got NextHome.
You.
You've been, I don't know, is that like has your second job been kind of commenting on all of the kind of legal woes of the space right now?
I mean, I tell you, I feel like I'm on a podcast every other day. But look, uh, I have felt there's been a lack of talk around this subject leading up to the trial. Certainly after, then everyone's scared. I don't really give a shit what the lawyers think, so I'm happy to say things how it is. And it's been a lack of leadership. And if I can help people in any way, just understanding what's going on, then we've been able to do that. Keith and I have obviously been working pretty hard on communicating extensively with the industry and giving people some direction where there just hasn't been. So yes, it feels like a second job, one I do not get paid for, but some of that stuff we volunteer our time. So
Well, it's been fantastic, and kind of a big thank you from a lot of folks around the space. It's been extremely helpful. You and
good.
Keith have your podcast, your Real Estate
Yep.
Insiders Unfiltered
Yep.
podcast as well.
Yep.
So you've been doing a lot there.
Yep. We started that in March of last year. It's just kind of like, the truth is, I haven't really shared this publicly. We started the podcast to do something fun, to have a place to pontificate that wasn't dealing with lawsuits and all of the nonsense. And it just became something really big. It's now syndicated through Real Estate News. It gets picked up all the time. And we're averaging around 30,000 people a month that are going through that. And it's become another job, but we do enjoy it though. Like, we've
Great.
had
It's
you
been
on the pod.
fantastic. I've been on
It's
there. Yeah.
it's been fun because we get to talk to the insiders of the industry who are really the ones that are like, creating the culture and direction of the business, and we get to have that unfiltered conversation. It's been a lot of fun. So,
Well,
yeah.
you had I saw one of your episodes recently. You and Keith have been on. You guys have talked with Ed Zorn a few times. Ed's
3 times. Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you guys were doing, you had a little different take or a little different approach recently where you were doing a little bit of role play, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, just give me a quick overview of what you guys did on that one.
Well, so everybody's trying to figure out how this world works past August 17th. And
Yep.
there's so many different questions people are asking about. Well, what happens? Can I still share commissions? Can I not? What are concessions? And so, we went through a role playing of the most common questions your sellers are going to ask you post August 17th, starting with, do I have to offer compensation to the buyer's agent, which has always been, that's negotiable. But even down the road, if I don't want to offer anything to the buyer's agent, how do you overcome these objections? So we did a lot of role playing on that, how to talk to a buyer about a buyer rep agreement. What are your services? How does it operate? So we try to do and come up with, which we did, the most common objections you're going to hear, role played them out to help people understand this isn't as complicated as you think. And certainly it was, it's been picked up pretty widely because people are asking those questions right now. And there's just not a lot of good conversation going on around how to train agents on these subjects. And so we thought we could help people with that.
Content's fantastic. I'm always a fan of role playing, by the way, in real estate, generally in sales. There's nothing better than just actually getting in and trying it. So what I would encourage everyone to do is, in addition to listening to it, go try some of that out.
Yeah.
For heaven's sake, go try some of that role playing out.
Yeah.
But one of the things that stood out to me, and this has been kind of one of the topics over the last while, you called it out, James, is buyer agency isn't like a thing that disappears entirely.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I've heard a lot of pundits talk about how, the industry is going to shift. It's going to be catastrophic. I'm like, no. So I'll give you some things to think about that I think are interesting. I obviously read a lot of studies, so I'm curious about this stuff. So in the 1960s, dual income households in the United States was around 30%. Right now, it's around 60%, just shy of 60%. So you think about that, and I can think about my own life. We have a daughter. My wife has a career in television. I have a career in real estate. We have a nanny. The point is, most Americans are busy. They have to have dual incomes to survive in this country. Housing, as we know, is absolutely astronomical and unaffordable. Nobody wakes up and goes, "Hey, let's go buy a house and do it all on our own." Like, this doesn't happen.
Doesn't
So,
happen. Yeah.
if you think about it, even on the sell side, if you thought about like this concept of being unrepresented, you would look at the growth of online portals like Zillow, Realtor, et cetera, and all this information and exposure. You'd think the sellers would do it on their own, but last year was the lowest level of for sale by owners in American history at 7%. So the point is, even with all the advent of this tech and all of this information, people still want somebody to help them through this process. The question is going to be, and it's a valid question, is what are people willing to pay for those services and how they pay for those services? But I absolutely fundamentally do not believe that people wake up one day and go, well, I'm just going to go do this on my own because it's super easy. It's just not how it operates.
I don't think it does. I agree. The data proves out that it doesn't, that people are not doing that again in for sale by owner. The way they engage and the questions they ask. I mean, to me, I think that seems to stand out to me as like the question. It's not really, is buyer agency going away or something? No, like buyers need to engage with an agent still. The question is, how do agents and brokerages make the change or the shift? And that'd be the question I would pose to you: is what's the biggest obstacle to brokers, teams, and agents making this shift? And what advice do you give as they're thinking about that?
Well, the problem with the way that we've been operating for some time is that with cooperative compensation, buyers agents have never really sat down with a buyer. I shouldn't say all, but majority do not. Do a presentation about what the services are going to be, how they operate, what's involved in the transaction. They just haven't done that. They haven't done buyer consults. It hasn't been a thing for a long time. In this new world where we're signing mandatory buyer rep agreements to show a property, meaning the agent has to sit down and talk with the buyer and get them to agree to sign an agreement, whether exclusive or non-exclusive, and for a period of time, you're going to have to get better at articulating value. Buyers are going to learn to shop agents based upon services and value. They're going to make decisions now, like they do with listing agents, on, is this the agent that I want? Is this the right marketing package?
So,
like, we're going to have to learn this.
James, can I interrupt you? So you're telling me they're going to pick people based on how good they are now?
Weird concept, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How qualified they are.
It sounds stupid, but that's honestly like how it's been for a long time, because agents were, even previous to the original settlement between the DOJ and NAR, buyers agents were going around saying, my services are paid for by the seller, so I can help you buy a house. It just we haven't had to learn the motor skills of really truly sitting down and explaining what we do. The other issue, Joe, is, buyers think that agents just open doors, write a contract, and get paid a lot of money. And that's because we've done this is a technical term, we suck at articulating our value. And so we have to explain to them that the ironic part is finding the property is 5% of the process. It's everything after you find the property is where really your agent's value is. It's, lining up inspections, understanding disclosures, working through the writing of the offer, negotiating that offer. Every single detail that happens is where deals can fall apart. It's where things can go wrong. You buy the wrong house. You didn't understand something. You end up in a lawsuit. Yeah. That's the expert representation you're buying and paying for. We have done a horrible job of explaining that to consumers. And when you do, they go, oh shit, I didn't realize like all that occurred, because we haven't shown them that. So
100%. So there's this kind of world where, look, the sky is not completely falling. There is change afoot for
yeah,
sure. There is change afoot for sure. And the key here is you have to be damn good at your job, as you should in any career. You should be good at your job.
Mm.
You need to understand how to communicate what you're doing, and you have
Right.
to do that maybe more efficiently than ever before. I mean, that's one of the other dynamics is you got to be really good at what you do and you got to do it
Yeah.
efficiently. How do
Yeah.
brokers and tech play into this for an agent and team? Agents and teams are trying to make this transition. How does a brokerage support that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the tech, just to be clear, because we've all said this, but I think it is important to understand the technology is not going to replace the human connection. It just isn't. This is an infrequent transaction that people do maybe 3 times in their life. Okay. Now, tech empowered agents, I hate that because it's used a lot, but it's the best analogy I can give. The people that understand how to use these services and the technology to enhance what they do are the ones that are going to come out on top. Full disclosure, I'm sure everybody knows this. We are a client of what you guys do. We use Core Present. This is like a key thing in our service offering. You need to have a very good buyer presentation. You need to have a very good listing presentation. You need to get very good at explaining data to consumers, having them understand the comps. Like, this is where the technology fits into the space. Any agent that doesn't have an amazing buyer presentation, I'm not talking the fluffy crap of like first time home buyers do this. I'm talking about like data, how, for example, Core Present obviously integrates with the MLS, pulls that data around. You can see that, you can compare things. You're looking for a way to show information in a fashion that the buyer can't do on their own, and they're looking for somebody to explain that to them. So to me, all of these pieces increase your value as to why somebody would pay you to help represent them in that transaction.
The thing you said though, James, is look, I like tech we provide. I think we do a lot of good
Yeah,
things. That tech is worthless unapplied. That let's just
100%.
say that tech unapplied is worthless. And so even the best tech unapplied. And so that point you made of knowing how to use that in your business and apply that and take what can be some really great tech and tell your story and communicate that value and interpret some data with your clients, that ability is fundamental. And spending some time understanding how to do that, not just kind of get on the lead gen engine, right? But
Yeah.
spending some time knowing how to actually tell that story with your clients seems important.
Well, I'll add two things I think that are like some things for everyone to think about. So I've been doing a lot of keynotes around the country, and I've been showing them how I would do a buyer presentation.
Yeah.
And I love so I start with Core Present because that's what we do.
Yep.
And we go through the whole process of buying, laying out the details, what's involved in the process, understanding the data, understanding the market. Like, you need to be good at doing that. But
Yep.
you have to do more than this. This is where agents are really going to have to rethink it. You wouldn't ever go out on a listing presentation and just put a contract in front of the seller and say, sign here. Like,
Yep.
you're going to
Yep.
do a presentation. You're going to talk about Matterport. You're going to talk about professional photography. You're going to go through things that you do, which
Yep.
equates to value. On the buy side, you have to start doing the same thing. So, for example, I know the second most requested thing by buyers is floor plans. Drives me freaking nuts when agents don't put floor plans on properties. So we have a partnership with a company called Cubicasa. They have a free system that you can use to create floor plans. So if I was a buyer's agent, I'd be going, look, one of the services that I offer is if the listing agent didn't create a floor plan, you really like this house, I'll go create one for you. It's now
Fantastic.
increasing my value, right?
Yep. Yep.
We have a partnership with a company called Front Door. Love them. They have this really cool app they created where it's like a handyman in your pocket. Video app, dial them up. I can't figure out how to use my Nest thermostat. Oh, he or she will show you how to do it. Pay for that
But you're
service.
bringing that, you're like the vehicle of all this value.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, it's just, what can you do to enhance what you're already doing, but show value with it? And then this will be a really controversial statement, but you could create levels. This is what I do for this rate. And if you want the whole, like, my partner, Keith, he's amazing. I love him. He's the other idiot on the podcast with me. He is, I'd say this to his face, the laziest human being when it comes to certain things he doesn't want to do. So Keith is a guy who would pay a premium Like everyone needs to hear this. He would pay a premium if you sent packers and unpackers and found him the landscaper and the maid service for his, like he wants that. So he would pay a
Dude, so would
premium.
I,
I know,
James.
like,
If
was
you're
we're
looking for
busy.
something to sell someone to something to, so would I,
So you should
Yeah.
have, I think you should have levels of service, and it can be
100%.
this fits this bucket. And I've got this, you know, Ritz-Carlton experience if you want, where I'll take care of everything for you. People are willing to pay a premium for service and value. You just have to articulate it.
So I think that's huge. And therein lies, here's one thing I will say. I think now is a moment in time that has been characterized by a pretty tough market.
Yeah.
It's been characterized by some tough dynamics around the commission lawsuits. It's been characterized by a bunch of these sorts of things. It is also a moment where we will see the most profitable and productive businesses ahead that the industry's ever seen.
Yep.
I believe firmly in that.
Completely agree with you. Yeah,
but it's not
so
going to be without change. It's not going to be without change, right? So one last question around this, and then I've got another topic to kind of hit you on here. But so we're talking about a lot of things that an agent or a team should do. The person doing the transaction, the person talking to the client.
Yep.
If I'm a brokerage, does this just mean I should say, okay, agents, here's a podcast that James Dwiggins did, and you should practice those things. Otherwise, I kind of run the same business model I've run for years, and I should expect to be very profitable in the future. What does it mean? What does it mean as a brokerage to kind of pivot or change in this environment? What kinds of things should I be doing as the broker?
Yeah. So this is where we're going to see a lot of M&A coming up. I think that for a long time, we've had sort of the tail wagging the dog a little bit, if I'll use that analogy politely, but brokers are going to have to start figuring out how to run their business, and they're going to have to start leading from the top. And we as an industry are not doing that. They're not setting standards. They're not setting minimum things that their agents need to be doing that don't violate 1099 status, setting expectations for what their agents should be following. And it's going to cause a tremendous amount of problems if they're not starting to set a vision for the way they want their company to operate, and the agents they want to be part of that. So, like, as an example, I just did a class on this in New York where I was like, what is your policy on dual agency? I asked a bunch of brokers in the room, and everyone's like, what is your policy if you have different agents wanting to offer different compensation structures under the same brand? What is your policy for people that aren't using services and are causing they're basically not using technology, and they're getting really low commission rates? Do you have a minimum commission rate policy inside your organization, which you can do? That's not antitrust issues. That's you as a broker setting a policy for your company. No one has these answers. And so one of the things I'm telling people is you need to start vision casting what you want as an organization. Where do you want to be? Is it virtual? Is it brick and mortar? Is it hybrid? What kind of technology should you be providing? What kind of support are you trying to provide? What are the minimum standards? What kind of training are you wanting to do? You better damn lead your people, because otherwise you're going to end up doing things the way you've always done it, and you won't be here. Because to your comment, Joe,
that's the thing is, it's a binary moment. And let me here, when you see a binary moment, like lesson for us all, when you see a binary moment where you say it's going to go this way or it's going to go that way, that's even though it can be intimidating, it's very nice because the decisions are fairly straightforward. Yep. It's like, is it going to stay the same as it is, or do I need to kind of think about some pretty large shifts? I need to think about some pretty large shifts.
Yeah.
Once you've landed on that binary, then the question is, do I lead or do I follow? You lead. Let me just
always
lead. So binary. And what I would say is, to your point, this is it's as a broker or a leader of a brokerage or a real estate organization, right now is that moment of opportunity and obligation to go and lead that and really spend a few minutes, but it's an opportunity as well. 100%. I've heard a lot of brokers talk about profitability in the last number of years. This is your moment.
Yeah.
This is your moment.
Yeah, for sure.
But let me tell you this too, for all the teams and agents listening, this is also your moment, because I'll tell you, teams and agents spend more than they ever have in this industry, but they're often spending it in pretty kind of unrefined ways. And so having a brokerage that really knows how to lead and guide in this moment and provide a ton of value to their folks, that's an opportunity for everyone to win here.
I 100% agree with you. And I'll add one sort of like thing on top of it is don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared to talk about things because you're worried about what I call the keyboard warriors. The ones who are gonna write something about you or say something about you or disagree with you. And I can tell you that, look, if you want to read the comments section about all the crazy stuff that I say and what people think, go for it. It's funny. The reality is I don't care. And what I do is I look at it and go, I have a vision for where I want to be. I know exactly where I want to take my organization and the people that are here. The people that are with me believe in that vision. We work together to hit that same goal. And most people are looking for leadership. They are dying for leadership, both in the industry and, for that matter, the country.
Yep.
And so to me, this is, to your point, it is an opportunity. And I think the more that brokers get comfortable in being uncomfortable, you're going to find success, because I'm 100% on the same page with you. Look, there's a lot of problems right now. I'm a named defendant. Like, I'm dealing with the lawsuits. It's not been an easy real estate market, but I also know that I see this as a huge opportunity because we have been positioning ourselves, our organization has, our people have, for as this market turns, there's going to be a lot less competition, which is happening right now, and B, we're going to slingshot out that other side. There's always change. There's always opportunity and change, like just the end. So, yep.
So here's my, I don't know if it's $100 question, $100 million question, but it's a question, James.
I have $100.
Yeah.
I don't have
here's the question for you. Okay, so here we are today. We got change over the next while. I'll ask you a shorter term question in just a minute, but here's my long-term question. Let's say I'm a broker out there, I'm a team, I'm an agent. What does the business look like 5 years from now? What does the folks who really lean in, how does their business look different than it does today?
I reserve the right to be completely wrong with all of my ideas. And we'll look back on this at some point.
So
right. I think it's quite a bit smaller. I think you're going to see attrition rates somewhere between 20 to 40% of the industry. I think a lot of that's going to hinge on how well listing agents do with explaining to sellers how this new world, this new consumer-centric model, I know we'll probably talk about that in a minute, will work. So a lot of it's going to have to do with how we train consumers on this process, and whether there's an ability for the buyer to finance their buyer's agent's compensation if the seller is not willing to offer any. That's a big wild card. And so that 40% number is, in my opinion, the worst case scenario number. 20% is we've figured out a lot of these things, and we've figured out how to get buyers and sellers to work together on getting a real estate deal closed. We have the right leadership in place. We've had a real lack of leadership in our industry for some time. My hope is that there's more of that. And then I'll tell you, technologically, it's going to be big. AI is not, I hate saying it anymore. It's like AI bingo, but it's not a fad. Was the metaverse a fad? Probably. Like, I don't know. It's kind of was there, and
I spent a lot of money on a property in there, James. No.
Yeah, I mean, so like, but AI is not. It is going to fundamentally transform everything we do, and I do not believe that agents are going away. I do believe some of the stuff that agents do will be automated. I do believe agents will shift in what their services are. I do think that the compensation models will probably shift. But the ones that, like we just talked about, the ones that really embrace this stuff early and look at it and go, how can I make this part of what I do? How can I use these services to increase my value with consumers, are the ones that are going to dominate the market. It's like the discussion, Joe, you and I had we've had for a while about, we've done this sort of top of funnel. We've really worked hard on this top of funnel component in residential real estate, but the long funnel, the 8 to 13 years people own a property, the
The
life cycle of the home ownership,
Yeah.
right? We just suck at that. Like, we have not figured that out as a brokerage industry. Like, we need to be thinking about how we bring somebody into this process, transact real estate, and then nurture that relationship for the next, 8 to 13 years. And when we crack that code, then the agent's at the center of the transaction and beyond, all the way through that life cycle, that we're getting repeat business, we're getting referrals, we're coming back to the agent. We're just, in my opinion, we're at first base here. Like, we haven't even gotten even halfway through what we're trying to do technologically. I absolutely think in 5 years that we're going to go through some transformative experiences, that search is going to get better, more accurate, that there's going to be an assistant in everybody's pocket. And there's going to be some companies that are really leading that charge. And the last comment I'll tell you is an automated, like, fully integrated platform. That's part of the holy grail. You asked me the question before about brokerages. You can't have piecemealed systems in this near future. You have to have something that is cohesively working, because agents are out just trying to work with their clients. They don't want to work with 7 different passwords. They don't want to learn 7 different systems. They want things to function. A lot of AI will do that. Systems that are fully integrated will help with that. You'll see your adoption rate go up. You'll see the agents become more successful. We're, again, at the early stages of that, but I think that's also going to be part of that future. So,
and it's still, and tech still won't be perfect. It never will be.
no,
right?
It's always going to evolve. Yeah.
Right. I appreciate a lot of those comments. And one of the terms you used is customer centricity, or client centric. And it feels to me like you and I have talked about this before, James.
Yeah.
It feels like where we're going is a one-way street toward a much more client-centric, life cycle-centric business model, right? And again, therein lies a lot of this opportunity. And so, as I say those words, and again, you and I have talked about this before. You mentioned it. What does it mean? What does that look like? If I'm truly running a client-centric, life cycle-centric brokerage, where do I spend my time? Do I spend my time the same way?
No, you don't actually. It's going to be, well, so you're going to still do what you normally do. You're still going to go meet people. You're still going to be belly to belly. You're still going to go to charity events, like the things you should be doing to nurture relationships.
Yep.
But behind the scenes, technology should be giving them information that's relevant. So this is where I think we've always just not gotten it right. When we send out recipe cards or complete utter nonsense that nobody gives a shit about, like that just doesn't, that's not, I don't care. I have the internet for that. But what I want to know, like my wife says this to me all the time, is, hey, by the way, the filters in the air conditioner, James, they're all black from all of the soot in there. You need to go change that stuff. And I'm like, shit, has it been 6 months already? Oh my God, it's been like a year. Like, I need something to work with my life on my phone, telling me as a homeowner everything I need to be doing with this property, because it's the water heater, it's your air conditioner, it's all of these systems that are being serviced. When I need help, who do I contact? My agent should be able to give me that information. When the rates come down, like, hey, it's probably a good time for you to refi. Have you thought about doing that? This would be the cost. This would be the upside benefit. When the agent is at the center of this piece and providing that, the value goes from, this is the part that I love when I talk about the value of the agent right now is in this 90-day window. What happens if the value of the agent was this 10-year window?
Yep.
And so, to me, that's the future. It's a fully integrated experience where your loan officer and you and your appraiser and your inspectors and your AC guy and like all of this stuff is built in. And then what happens is the agent ends up creating a different type of relationship. So you're keeping them in the ecosystem.
An entire life cycle relationship, and
search all the way down. Yep.
100%. And that's one of the dynamics, I think, when you look today and you say, hey, 5 years out, 10 years out, the leaders, whether that's a leading brokerage, whether that's a leading team, or whether that's a leading agent, is going to be part of this ecosystem where you are viewed by your clients as that person or group to go to, right?
Yeah.
And you can see other industries. You've seen folks like wealth management and some of these other industries that develop this way from a very transactional kind of experience to a holistic, hey, you're my people. You're my gal, you're my guy, you're the one I go to when I've got these questions. And that's like the holy grail everyone's talked about. Look, the tech is now here to be able to power those kinds of experiences. To your point, you can't have this big disconnected ecosystem and spend all your time wiring things together. But you also can't believe that you can forget to train your team, yourself, and your brokerage on how to serve that way. So you got to get that kind of tech, your business model, and your training to a place where you got to lead in that journey. That's where we're going. That's where the space is going.
I agree with you. And I think that tech is, as you know, I mean, you guys are building some of this stuff too. Like that tech is coming. It's here and it's going to get better. In 5 years, it's going to be it's going to be very dialed.
Yeah.
And the last comment, Joe, is this: people have to start thinking more about the way consumers think. It drives me nuts. So I just go back to that comment of, there's been a survey done by NER for the past, I don't even know how many years, 20 years. You go back in there and you look at what buyers want when they're searching for homes, and you're going to find floor plans at the top of those those comments. Less than 30% of all the listings in the United States have a floor plan. Yeah. Give me a freaking break. Like, if an agent isn't doing the things that the buyers are requesting, you are not doing your job. You're not doing your job for your seller. And if you're too cheap to spend the money on it, find another career. Like, because that's just listening to your client, like I would do this. We actually do this, but I would sit down with my clients, the people that I've sold houses to, and do a survey, or even just take them to lunch, go, tell me all the shit that you loved and hated about the experience. What could I have done better? Don't be afraid to hear constructive criticism. It's going to make you a better agent. The more we focus on that consumer, the way they want things done,
that experience, that whole experience. And that is really where I think you get these, if you're leading a brokerage, if you're leading a team right now, that's some of the hard work that can be done over this next while, is really understanding that, making tough decisions. Hey, let's get the tech stack all done and in place. It's got to be seamless, it's got to be integrated. But you have to focus on that model shift as well. And so that's the journey over the next while. You're not going to cover it all overnight. That's going to take a little bit of time. Very valuable, James, as it always is talking to you. Let me ask you this as we kind of round out here. So you think a lot about this customer-centric model. You're working on, we work on tech, you're working on tech. You got Raise, which is some tech that you're working on around this as well, I think. I don't want to say too much there, but you're working on some tech there, right?
Yeah.
And we've got our home ownership solutions, we've got Core Home, we've got all of those things. There's things that you can do today to go drive your vision forward. What's your recommendation for the brokers, teams, and agents over the next 60 to 90 days? This is the moment everyone's like, okay, this is hitting. As we start to, you got this long-term vision. What do I do for the next 60 to 90 days? What's most important?
Yeah, so I'm going to take this down two paths. Number one is you got to be skating to where the puck's going to be. So the first comment I'm going to make is you're going to have to think about the way that we structure things, the way that we work in the MLS, the way we talk to buyers and sellers is going to be different. So I'll make some controversial statements. That's why I'm here. In this new consumer-centric model where we're not doing commission sharing, even though technically you can, you shouldn't be. Everyone's like, what? So there's no reason to share commissions anymore. You don't need to sit down with a seller and be like, I'm going to charge you X. I'm going to remit part of that to the buyer's agent for bringing a buyer to the property. That's just increasing liability. You don't have to do that. Just the seller can advertise it. You can't do it on the MLS, but the seller can advertise they're willing to pay buyer's agent's compensation. And what you do is you just have the buyer put it in the purchase contract so that there's no more sharing. It's just paid through the closing. Like, again, skating where the puck's going to be. I'll even make another controversial statement. You shouldn't even be advertising anything up front. There's no reason to. Why would I, as a seller, ever tell a buyer what I'm willing to go to in advance of an offer? Think about it. Like, do you go to a car dealership and the car dealership's like, we're willing to take the price down to this? Like, they don't do that. They go, here's the price, make an offer, we'll negotiate, right? So to me, this is, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to pin it to the second piece. So, it's sellers willing to entertain, any and all requests, put it in the purchase contract. There's where the puck's going to be. So you're not advertising anything up front. You don't have to worry about sharing of commissions. You remove all your antitrust liability there. And if the seller's like, I don't want to pay any buyer's agent compensation, the answer's like, well, actually, let me just make a couple points. If we had an all cash offer at full asking and they paid the buyer's agent, so option one, is that a good offer? Yes. Okay. What if the buyer's agent wrote an offer for $100,000 over asking and you paid the buyer's agent's compensation, you netted $70,000 more? Is that a better offer? Well, yeah. Okay. So you are willing to pay the buyer's agent's compensation. So thinking about how we move to this new consumer-centric model is in key, and that goes back to the podcast.
And the point there is, these are some answers, James. You're giving some answers that are very clear, very pointed. You've spent the time thinking about it.
Yeah.
If you're a broker, if you're a team, agent for sure, but if you're a broker or team, your answers need to be clear, focused. If you don't have those, it's time to find them. You haven't gotten them
100%.
yet, it's time to find them.
Yep. Then now what you need to be doing, so once you train on that, get everybody on the same page about that. The next thing is all about value. And it's, I would go down my entire tech stack. What's being used? What isn't? What is its value? What is every single thing that I have? What does it provide value to a buyer and to a seller? Are my agents incorporating that in their presentations? If not, why not? Are they trained on it? Can they talk about it? Can they articulate it? Just start going down that list. Second thing I would do, I'm literally giving you our playbook. Go look at what your competition's doing. Like, just spend time studying your competitors. If you don't know what they're doing, call one of them, pretend you're going to sell your house. I don't care. Figure out what it is, but start to understand what your competitors are doing. How do you compete against them in the market? If your value proposition is worse, increase it. What is it that you need to be doing? If I don't know what I need to be doing, ask your buyer and seller those questions. They're going to tell you what they want in their experience. So to me, everything has to align from process, the technology, then the output. So do you have a digital experience?
Can I add one thing to that, James?
Yeah.
So let me add one thing. It's called SOAP. It's called SOAP. Strategy on a page. One page written. You should be able to write this stuff down very clearly. You should be able to put it onto a single page. You can always expound with more and kind of how you're going to accomplish it. But the number of folks in the space right now who do not have that plan written down, and even if they're able to talk about it a little bit, write it down, strategy on a page, SOAP.
You have to
get your SOAP there, make sure it's written down. As you do that, it's very clarifying in this moment where you say, okay, what do I believe? What am I going to decide? What am I going to do? You can get that out onto a single page.
100%.
And you can also share it with your friends. You don't compete with everybody in the industry. You probably compete more with the dynamics than you do your neighbor broker, honestly.
Not to be an asshole, but even if you shared it with your friends, most of them won't do it anyway. So like, just to back up your point. So in our organization, we have 2 strat plan meetings a year, one at the beginning of the year, one at mid-year. We do that to see what our original goals were, where we are in that process. And for further, we have a weekly SMT meeting called Senior Management Team Meeting. The 12-month goals are at the top of the doc that we see every single week to reinforce what we're trying to accomplish as a team. So that leads me to my final 2 comments on that. Number 3 is you need to make sure everyone's aligned on what your vision is. And then you should spend time role playing.
You should role play.
Like, have them present their listing presentation, have them sit down and talk about it, like, and go back at them. Well, I don't want to do that. And like, how do they rebuttal it? Your agents are dying for leadership. You're scared to do it. You're scared to have them come down. They're scared to come in the room. Create an environment where they feel safe about it. The more that you can role play them, they are not going to lose deals because they weren't trained properly.
Yep. Get your strategy down on a page, one pager, get your value clear, practice it, practice it, practice it, practice it. You'll get better. They'll get better. You don't have to be perfect to get it out there and get started. James, I love chatting with you about this stuff. I appreciate your clarity. I appreciate the discipline. And excited for this moment in time. As much change as it is, I'm excited for this moment. And
I'd like to get rid of the lawyers, but beyond that, I'm totally on the same page with you. So, and if they're listening, yes, I'm talking to you.
It's you. James, thanks so much.
Of course, my friend. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
it.
We'll talk with you
soon. You got it.